Okay. Bingus, the Quadriolgy of the Bingus, a parody of Harry Potter. Before I begin, many thanks to Jihad Ahmed Mustafa Diab, who was one of 5 prisoners given asylum in Uruguay so that the country could sell oranges to the United States. Book 1, Earth Bingus, the Earth 23rd, and Space Bingus, the Space First. Alternate title, The Return of the Fat Ugly Guy Who Will Never Get Laid and Ruins Everything. Chapter 1, 3 a.m., Sun unrisen, eyes awaken. Who is Bingus, you may ask? Such is a question that even the gods above ask themselves every day. For who can withstand the thought of not knowing Bingus, the noble Dr. Spaghetti Gut Jordan? Not I, that's for sure. Our story begins abruptly before Bingus is contacted by Danger Person. Danger Person, who is fat and ugly and will never get laid, contacts Bingus. He who is Danger Person speaketh. Hey, Bingus, you sexy Bingus, you. Join me and let's make stuff less good. In fact, join me and we can make stuff bad, maybe? He then proceeded to wink into his phone, and the emotional equivalent was transmitted as a slightly sticky, grinding sound of flesh upon 2 other layers of flesh. The interior grinding interior, exterior molding exterior. Niet, says Bingus Bingasly. What? Says Danger Person, who, now filled with immutable anger and rage, proceeds to grab their keys, arrive at the first floor, drive to the store, and purchase a large quantity of fruit, only to throw them at the homeless. The old homeless were pelted with apples. The new homeless were pelted with bananas. Intermediary homeless were pelted with both at once. Outrage, said the homeful people, in their homes, eating their home food and sitting on their chairs made of leather, blandly, all at the same time, and then proceeded to continue on with their day. Bingus, now rather angry, decides to move to Colorado. As Bingus drove to the airport in his new Honda Civic 2029 edition Bioflex crew cab with advanced power steering and drift capacitors, he decided to take a nap. While he dreamt, he saw visions. Visions were what he saw. They were visions of large amounts of fire and deadly things, terrors and terrible terrifiers. Bingus, being the sexy Bingus he is, didn't care, however. Chapter 2, The Stars Awaken, Inside and Outside. Now at the airport, Bingus boarded the plane. After a time, Bingus arrived in Colorado. That's cool. What's really cool about Colorado is that there's a space place. It has spaceships and whatnot. And so Bingus, being the Bingus he be, applied to become a space Bingus. Hey, space person, you spacey person, you, said Bingus Bingasly. Hey, Bingus, said Space Person. Hey, how's about you give me a job? Yeah. Thanks, you spacey person, you. And now Earth Bingus, the Earth 27th, became Space Bingus, the Space First. Thus was the beginning of the Space Bingus. No, you're Space Bingus, the Space 5239, said Space Person. And now Space Bingus, the Space First, became Space Bingus, the Space 5239. Thus was the beginning of the Space Bingus. Your job begins on space. Please go there now, said Space Person. Okay then, said Space Bingus. And so Bingus went from the space lobby to the Spacinator 30, where he was zapped to the planet Space. Said Bingus's phone. It was a message from Space Person. Dearest Space Bingus, you sexy Bingus, you. We have a terrible case of space antwares. Your job is to have there be less of these. You should receive a box with a gun in it in a few seconds or days. Thanks, Space Person. Meanwhile, on Earth in the city, like a week ago, Danger Person, the dangerous of persons, has created something terrible. It's bad. It's evil. It's even kind of inconvenient. Danger Person is actually a super hydro ultra mega bio engineer who enjoys making things less good. So he made were-ants. They're like werewolves, but they're ants that turn into wolves on the full moon. Through the power of CRISPR and artificial intelligence computing, he was able to concoct a DNA pattern capable of extreme hormonal changes. Within minutes, the ant farm of were-ants could turn into wolves. Such is the power of the were-ant. However, for every force that is enacted, another force is enacted in the other direction. As such, space now has ant-wares. But whatever, that's not Danger Person's problem. All he wants to do is unleash carnage with his were-ants on Earth. Book 2, Gun, you sexy gun, you. Alternate title, Gun, You Extra Sexy Gun You. Chapter 1, Gun, You. That's the sound of a gun in a box being sent from space. That's the sound of the gun box opening. That's the sound of Bingus walking towards the box. Bark. That's the sound of an ant bear. Oh damn. That's the sound of Bingus saying, oh damn. That's the sound of Bingus running away. That's the sound of hundreds of antwares running after Bingus. That's the sound of Bingus's new Honda 2029 self-automatic machine gun spectacular bioflex screw cab with advanced power steering. Bingus killed a rather surprising amount of antwares in a relatively short amount of time. Cool. Meanwhile, on Earth, Danger Person is kinda sorta pissed right now. A bunch of his were-ants just died. They all complained of bullet wounds. What? Said Danger Person. Why? Said Danger Person. How? Said Danger Person. Who? Said Danger Person. Said Danger Person. When? Said Danger Person. Danger Person was angry. Danger Person had a lot of pent-up anger. Danger Person might just do something they would only do out of anger because of how angry they are. Chapter 2. Sexy Gun You. Said Bingus's phone. It was another message from Space Person. Dearest Space Bingus, you sexy Bingus you. The Space Person. Dearest Space Bingus, you sexy Bingus you. Sorry, I didn't finish that last message. Anyway, there's like a coalition on the giant space thing. What giant space thing? Said Bingus. The one with the blinking light. Ah, okay. Go there and tell them stuff and they'll hire you. You can get money and stuff that way. Thanks, Space Person. And so Space Bingus made his way to the space thing with the blinking light. After a walk that took a bit of time, Space Bingus made his way into the space thing. Hello there, Bingus, you sexy Bingus you, said Space Love Interest. Whoa, hold up, said Space Bingus. I'm Space Bingus now. Hello there, Space Bingus, you sexy Bingus you, said Space Love Interest. Hot, said Space Bingus. By the way, you're hired, said Space Love Interest. Cool, said Space Bingus. Hold up, said Space Love Interest. That's space cool now. Space cool, said Space Bingus. Bingus proceeded to approach the stairs, come to the door, meet with his new boss, create a lasting friendship, and begin working as a well-paid intern who was highly qualified for the job with many important opportunities in his future for his career. With a starting salary of almost 80 grand a year, Space Bingus proceeded to live well for the large amount of time. If you consider a large amount of time 5 minutes, because then the building got destroyed by a meteorite and he was fired. Outrage, said the homeful people, in their homes, eating their home food and sitting in their chairs made of leather, blandly, all at the same time, and then proceeded to continue on with their day. Space Bingus, now pissed, decided to super jump back to Earth. Bingus climbed out of the rubble of the building that he just destroyed by jumping onto it with the force of a meteorite. And Space Bingus is now Earth Bingus once more. Book 3. Bingus files unemployment, steals the alphabet, and is now globally recognized as the Sun God. Alternate title, Capitalism. Chapter 1. Sexiness and Sweet. Danger Person, the most person of dangers, which is he, has done something terrible, diabolical, even somewhat annoying. He has sold the sun to an alien civilization to be used in their new clean energy solar reactor project so that they can provide their citizens with renewable energy. The aliens much rather be called the new Greater Djembekai Republic of Polterra than the modern slang term for their coalition, those guys. Efforts to inform the public about this lack of respect have not worked well, and they are quite in contempt of the general of society. However, as dangerous Danger Person is, he is not disrespectful. As such, he is often an ambassador for the Earth people to the those guys, and is an important factor in the large lasting peace that has followed their introduction to Earth in 1999 when they initiated the pizza raids, which has lasted until December of 2011. Needless to explain, Danger Person is definitely one of the most revered personages within the modern era. Anyway, yeah, he sold the sun. For what reason, you may ask? Well, Danger Person just so happens to be an avid fan of the Nintendo title Wii Sports for the Nintendo Wii. However, his previous copy of Wii Sports is scratched. Devastated, Danger Person took vengeance and wanted to buy a new copy. But being fat and ugly and unlaid, he does not have the skills to pay the bills, which are the sexiness bills, and he is often seen begging in the streets for spare sexiness. For this reason, he decided to sell the sun for sexiness credits. Such is the harsh life that many live in the city. 10 a.m., 2 hours until the sun is transported to Polaris. Bingus, being sexy and unemployed, now must get his unemployment. But he goes to the City Business of Employment Bureau of Please help me, my business was destroyed by a meteor, what am I going to do? Or TCBEB-PHMMBWDMWAITD for short. The cool kids just call it the club. Yes, you are Dr. Earth, Space Earth, Bingus Esquire, the 27th, 5,239th, First Bacardi Monte Alfredo Spaghetti Gut Jordan, right? Said this person. Yeah, said Bingus. Yes. Yes. I see. But right after the meteor destroyed your business where you had a good position and a wonderful relationship with your boss and many opportunities for your future. Well, Spaghetti Gut, my child, I do believe that you have inherited quite a sum of very sexiness. Very sexiness is enough sexy to influence anyone for nearly anything. Bingus is now one of the top 0.01% of the sexiest people in the world. 11 a.m., 1 hour until the sun is transported to Polaris. That's the sound of the television suddenly changing channels. That's the sound of the news reporter. It has just came in that those guys have taken hold of the sun and are currently planning on bringing it to Polaris. Hot, said Bingus. But deep down in his soul, he knew that it wasn't hot. In fact, it was the coldest, lowest down, uncoolest thing that those guys have ever attempted since the pizza raid. Bingus went outside. He knew what he had to do. In December of 2011, Bingus had put an end to the raids by destroying the Polarian alphabet. A beautiful system, yet it had to be destroyed if the raids were to stop. Now, without an alphabet, Polterra has gone into turmoil. The Polarian engineers became the last bastion of hope for the Republic's energy sources, and eventually came to be tyrants. What Bingus needed to do now is usurp their regime by giving the people back what Bingus took from them in the first place, the alphabet. Chapter 2, Alphabet and Sweet. Strong? Snore. Bingus rose from the sea and came to the alphabet stronghold of the earth. He walked inside. Halt, said Alphabet Guard. Who? Said Bingus as he struck a pose. Bingus put his hands behind his neck, thrust out his pelvis, turned to the side, and shifted his bounce the way he looked at it as if he was almost floating. Alphabet Guard, overcame by such a burst of pure sexy energy, fell in ecstasy. Bingus proceeded to grab to the original 30 letters of the earthen alphabet and sprinted outside. With the last of his sexy energy, he squatted. Breathing deeply, he envisioned the world without a sun, his planet without a guiding light, and he knew what he had to do. He used the last of his sexy energy in a single burst. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Strong, yeah? For minutes, there was only silence. That was the sound of a field of solar panels exploding. As Bingus climbed out of the rubble, he had little energy left. He took a step, and another, and one more, and at his feet he laid the 30 letters of the earthen alphabet. People of guys, said Bingus. People of those guys. I came with an offering of peace. Aid me in taking down your captors, and I shall return the favor. Bush people began to climb out of the bushes. They stared at the letters in amazement and began to jump up and down excitedly. But seeing that Bingus was wounded, he began to weep. The man was devoid of sexy energy. How was he still alive? By sheer willpower. The people of those guys began to give what little spare sexy they had to Bingus. Over time, he healed. Eventually, a Polarian child came up to him.
Bingus, you sexiless savior! I promise I will help you. Be sexy enough to save your son.
And that they did. Elegansis Divider. 12 a.m., 0 hours until the sun is transported to Polaris. Bingus, now filled with enough sexy energy to perform a jump back to Earth, decides instead to take the bus because it's quicker and easier. On the way back to Earth, however, he saw the Polarian mothership tugging the sun from the center of Solaris. Bingus, disgusted but determined, saw his chance. Sprung, blah! The bus exploded, but you can't hear that because there's no oxygen in space. As Bingus soared towards the mothership, he took a pill out of his pocket, a condensed form of sexiness. The sexy pill was capable of providing the taker with a short burst of dangerous amounts of sexiness. Hoping for the best, Bingus took the pill. That's what would be the sound of Bingus landing on the mothership, but you can't hear anything in space. The pill was beginning to work. Bingus looked at his hands. They sparkled and shone, brighter than the sun. He took his hand and pushed against the ship. Inside the mothership, the crew was confused. The entire craft shifted about a foot. Confused but not disheartened, they went on with their day for about 5 seconds because then the craft shifted 1,260 miles per second towards the sun. It got closer. Closer still, it touched the sun. It went into the sun. And just like that, the Bingus sent the mothership into the center of the sun and saved the galaxy. With his last remaining bit of energy, he laid on the surface of the sun. It was warm, comforting. Although the sun was bright, Bingus felt the world go dark. He smiled. Hot, said Bingus, and Bingus became one with the sun. Book 4, Genesis. Alternate title, Epilogue. Son Bingus, now called Spingus by his followers, looked at Earth. Not hot, said Spingus. And so Spingus flooded the Earth and didn't tell anybody about it. Everyone died. And Spingus sent a bit of his energy down to Earth in his old form and began to form a new society in his image. There were the Bingakai, and they were kind of just like Bingus. There was also Wingus, the red-blacked. Angus, the Bingus that is a cow. Pingus, the Bingus that is a penguin. Lingus, the Bingus that is bilingual. Ringus, the Bingus that is ringworm. Oplusnus, the universal donor Bingus. Bingus, the Bingus that is a vegan that eats meat. Jingus, the Bingus that embodies the Christmas spirit. There was one to rule them all, made in most part in Bingus's image, Genghis Khan. Spingus left them to do whatever they wanted, unsupervised, and they all had a good time. The end.